It's a silly, impractical word. Quite often it's rhymed with a bird or a thing on your hand. But a week also ran the possessive, a near distant third. Just a silly, impractical word. And the number of letters is 4. Such a big deal should have many more. Though God has just 3, there's 2 in the word me. So I suppose less can be more. The number of letters is 4. I thought that I had it, but I was just in it. It became a battle. I could never win it. For each time I wanted, I could never keep it. When called on to say it, I could never speak it. It's a vague and a meaningless word, as an idea completely absurd. Written and read, it's been sung and said. It's a fairy tale ending deferred. Just a vague and a meaningless word. Back at the final frontier, this border that's guarded with fear. 50 years and more waging this border war. It's a miracle you made it here. Back to the final frontier. I thought that I had it, but I was just in it. It became a battle. I could never win it. For each time I won it, I could never keep it. When called on to say it, I could never speak it. Back at the final frontier. I've seen the family photos. The man's a mystery. He died in 1942 at the age of 43. My grandmother was his widow. My father was his son. Oh, but I know next to nothing of the first Loudon. They say he was an SOB who liked to smoke and drank. And in the photos he looks handsome. Trapped is what I think. And there's one of him in uniform. It must be World War I. They say he was an expert sailor and could handle a shotgun. In a wedding portrait, posing with his young bride, his right hand hidden by her bouquet, his left hanging at his side, closed in a kind of half fist, unsure what he'd just done. Facing his short future, like he could hit someone. It was elbows off the table before the meal begun. But it's his hands I recognize. He gave them to his son, whose own hands held and touched me and ruffled up my hair. And I recognize that half fist. I'd know it anywhere. in the late 30s, he began to go to seed. In the photos, he looks loaded. The observant eye will heed. Mugging for the camera, having a little fun. A cigarette in one hand and a drink in the other one. Yes, I know a little something about the first Loudon. My grandmother was his widow. My father was his son. Tell me, what are we afraid of? Why do we resist? I spread my hands and flex my fingers, open and close my fist. I spread my hands and flex my fingers, open and close my fist. There'll be lots of drinking in heaven, smoking and eating and sex. What you didn't do in this life bad for you will be totally cool in the next. In heaven there'll be beer for breakfast. At lunch it's tequila and wine. And the soup served with dinner is made with paint thinner. And the morning hereafter feels fine. Oh, good behavior will get you to heaven. It's Beulah land, that's where you're bound. But nobody makes nice up there in paradise. When you get up there, then you get down. And the angels have ashtrays in heaven. St. Peter puffs on a cigar. That's right, smoking's allowed. It's what makes all those clouds. And you don't have to sit at the bar. Oh, it's gonna be great. And they eat all day long up in heaven, and nobody ever gets fat. No, not 1 calorie, and the ice cream is free. It comes in a pint, quarter of vat. And it's just one big orgy in heaven, and nobody ever says no. And it's front, sideways, back, and you start to lose track, but you don't lose your get up and go. Oh, there'll be lots of drinking in heaven, smoking and eating and sex. What you didn't do in this life bad for you will be totally cool in the next. In heaven there'll be beer for breakfast. At lunch it's sambuca and wine. The gazpacho with dinner is made with paint thinner. And the morning hereafter feels fine. I live in Brooklyn Heights, in the borough of Brooklyn, in New York City. Right across the East River from Lower Manhattan. And when I want to take the underground, the subway, the tube, I go to my local stop, which is High Street Brooklyn Bridge. I get the A train or the C train that goes underneath the East River. First stop in Manhattan, Broadway, Nassau. Second stop, Chambers Street, World Trade Center. Third stop, the main drag in Chinatown, which is Canal Street. This song is called No Sure Way. So I started out on High Street, had to travel into town like some Orpheus descending through a turnstile underground. From Brooklyn Heights into Manhattan, which was where I had to be. Now you have to take the A train. There's no more service on the sea. And when you are underwater, Sometimes the mind plays tricks, and there beneath the East River, it felt like the river Styx. The first stop was Broadway, Nassau. A few more passengers got in. We all sat, no one was standing there somewhere we'd never been. They say heaven's high above us, hell's not far below. In that subway tunnel, there was no sure way to go. Chambers Street, a closed ghost station. Passing through, we seemed to glide like prisoners inside compartments on some House of Horrors ride. The walls were tiled, I hadn't noticed. They seemed so antiseptic clean, but we knew what we were under. The lights were on, that seemed obscene, and there I saw the three initials, W, T, and then C. I'd survived somehow, was living, but somewhere I shouldn't be. At the next stop the doors opened, and I emerged up above ground. I was in another country, Elysian fields, no Chinatown. They say heaven's high above us, hell's not far below. Standing on Canal Street, there was no sure way to know. They say heaven's high above us, hell's not far below. Standing on Canal Street, there was no sure way to go. You can pull one of my songs right out of thin air. Go ahead and download me, see if I care. In love, war, and cyberspace, everything's fair. And it's okay to steal, 'cause it's so nice to share. You're in luck, 'cause last night it happened again. I was feeling creative about 20 to 10. So I sharpened a pencil, then I wore down its end. And now soon you'll have something to share with your friends. It took 20 minutes to write down this song. The tune's public domain, so I didn't do wrong. I chewed up the pencil and the eraser's all gone. Scratched my head and my balls, but it didn't take long. Songwriting's not so hard, it's well understood. Anyone can do it and everyone should. I'm sure you could write and sing something as good with some balls and a pencil. I'm sure that you would. A PC's like a crowbar, it's only a tool. And music flows like water from a big public pool. But I want to get paid from my work, but I'm a fool, because trading and sharing so awesome and cool. I don't mean to be flip, I don't want to be Pat. Those Metallica guys are all getting too fat. Free information, yeah, what's wrong with that? Something for nothing, that's where it's at. And those moguls run labels and you call them all crooks, 'cause they crunch the numbers and they cook the books. But I signed that contract and I got my hand shook. Shaking hands with the devil, it's not as bad as it looks. You can pull one of my songs right out of thin air, bootleg and download me, see if I care. In love, war, and cyberspace, everything's fair. And it's okay to steal, 'cause it's so nice to share.